Gun-Free South Africa says there's a slight decrease in gun-related deaths in the country, although there are an estimated 18 firearm-related deaths per day in the nation. The organisation says this can be attributed to the Firearms Control Act of 2000 that has made the country safer. Well, earlier we spoke to the director of Gun-Free South Africa, Adele Kirsten.
Thanks for joining us on our program.
Thank you.
Tell us about the new statistics that are out about gun-related deaths in South Africa. Have they gone up or down?
Very significantly, the latest mortuary data, that's from 2009, shows that there's an almost 50% reduction in gun deaths in South Africa from over about a 10-15 year period, from just 2001, just after the new gun law was introduced.
What do you attribute this to?
Well, this research confirms the reduction in gun deaths, but there's a previous research done by senior scientists at the Medical Research Council where they controlled for other factors like age and gender, and they also looked at other means of violent death like knives and blunt force instruments. And although there was a slight reduction in those deaths, they were more or less stable. There wasn't a significant change in those violent deaths. But you see a dramatic reduction from around about 2001 of gun deaths. And they've controlled for all the variables, and the scientists have made the scientific decision that the only thing that changed over this 10-15 year period was the introduction of stronger gun laws.
Is it because of stricter measures that have been put in place regarding gun possession and licensing?
It's two things. One is certainly restricting who has access to what kinds of weapons. So we've seen a reduction in the number of gun owners, and we've seen a reduction in the number of licensed guns. But what we're also seeing, although it remains a high number, we're seeing a reduction in the circulation of illegal weapons. And that's in part because of government holding firearms amnesties. But we still have, so that's the good news, but we still have 18 people a day killed in South Africa with guns. And that's a huge number. It puts us in something like the top 20 countries with some of the highest murder rates in the world. So there's still a lot more work to be done. 18 gun deaths is 18 gun deaths too many.
There are people who are advocating for a gun-free society in our country, and the organizations have been vociferous in advocating for that. And there are those who want stricter regulations, but they do not want to be dispossessed of the guns because of security concerns. Then where do we draw the line?
Well, I think we need to have a conversation about what kind of society we want to see. What kind of society do we want to build for our children and for our children's children? And I think there would be general agreement across the country, irrespective of where you live and where you come from, that we want a safe and secure nation, that we want a nation that's free from the fear of gun violence. I think most people would want that. We're far away from that, but we've also been able to show that introducing stricter gun laws, making it more difficult to get a licensed gun, can make a difference. And it's significant that that finding has been released at this time, because our government is considering further strengthening our gun laws. So that's a good development, because it means we can look at, can the gun law actually do more to reduce gun violence? I think, for people who are saying we don't feel safe, I think most of us don't feel safe, but the majority of us don't have guns to defend ourselves. And so the question is, and we need to look at alternatives, but the other thing is for an organization like Gun-Free, where we look at what does the evidence tell us about what the drivers of gun violence are, and what are the risks of having a gun in your home. And all the evidence points, in fact, that having guns creates more violence. And in this country, we see again and again that having a gun in the home is a risk for the very people in the home. We have the incident of the man in Athlone yesterday who committed suicide. The day before, a couple in Northwest, the man is a police officer, he killed himself and shot his wife. So a gun in the home is a risk. It is not an effective means of self-defense. There's no evidence to show that it's an effective means of self-defense. And in fact, the evidence shows in the opposite direction, that it puts everyone at risk.